book? Has anyone got Dr. Miles Monroe's book? Or watched a video clip of him? He was a pastor. He's very, very well known. He stated that the graveyard is one of the richest places on the planet of the earth. And it's where you find books that have never been written. There you find drama pieces that have never been acted. There you find poems that have never been written. And there you find songs that have never been sung. Now, I believe that we all have the resources to fulfill our full potential. However, I used to think that you had to have a university degree. I used to think that success was about having a great job that paid well. Until I found myself sitting in the staff car park, holding on to my steering wheel, shaking and crying uncontrollably. The reason being is because I had been bullied. I had been put on a performance improvement plan. If I cry, let me. I had been put on a performance improvement plan, not once, but twice. The first time, I was like, okay, it's new to me. The second time, it sparkled something inside of me. I overheard my co-workers talking about speaking to the union representative. So I went to speak to the union representative. And the reason why they wanted to speak to the union representative is because they had also been put on performance improvement plan. Whilst I was sitting down speaking to the union representative, my supervisor walked past. In fear, I quickly ran to my desk. He immediately came up to me and told me that I was no longer on performance improvement plan. Now that reiterated to me that I had been bullied. In that moment, I realized that I had no savings for myself and I had no savings for my daughter. I also realized that I had allowed someone to have power over my livelihood. Success was not about having a great job that paid well. Success was about having freedom of choice. So I went on my savings journey and I eventually bought my first home with support. And I also, in 2022, I was able to publish my father's books. I think you can see them at the back when he had died. Now, I would never have been able to do that if I did not try and put myself in a good financial condition. I never want anyone to go through what I went through. I never want anyone to be financially unprepared. So I've devised a financial empowerment program, which has 6 principles. Principle number 1, the power in earning. Principle number 2, the power in spending. Principle number 3, the power in overcoming money blocks. Principle number 4, the power in savings. Principle number 5, the power in investment. And principle number 6, the power in giving. Because you want to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of when you're giving. Now, if you want to know more, obviously I've got my books at the back. I've written a book, A Fulfilled Legacy, How to Overcome Money Lies and Have Financial Freedom, and I do go into the story as well as how and why I do what I do. I was talking to Fran this the other day. He texted me, he said, what do you want to be put down as? I said, well, put me down as finance and fitness. She must have been confused. She must have been custody. I don't know what you're thinking. And I can see her already doing that. So I'm like, heaven bless me. And the reason why I'm diving into fitness is because I was so obsessed with fitness at one point in my life. I literally used to live in Newham. I think I told you I lived in Newham for like 10 years by myself. And all I had was fitness. I went Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you name it. I was in the gym. And I never understood why. And I think, and in a way, I got on with life. I got on with being just happy in myself, in my body. Oh, it looks nice, everything looks great. But like Fran was saying, we all carried luggage and we all carried baggage. And one of them was finance. It hit me hard when I got that notice saying that, oh, they're gonna put me on performance improvement plan. And didn't know I had that luggage. I was walking around like this. And you know what I did? And I'm glad that it did hit me, because now I got to write a book and now I get to actually talk about finance and hopefully help someone else be financially free. And I'm not saying I'm financially free, I'm getting there, I'm on my journey, and I'm telling you, it is a hard journey to go through, but it's worth it. I'm telling you now, it's worth it. When I got the money to save up, when I got the deposit from my house, I was saving up, and how I did it was I actually gave up my council flat. And someone called me stupid. And I felt stupid because I didn't know if this plan was going to work. I didn't get on with my mom. I'm an African. I was born in Uganda, and I tell you, I don't know about about African parents. They say one thing, you're like, oh my God, I need to run out. I need to get out of my house. I need to get away from them. I think I actually moved from my first home my first council property because I was running away from my mom and dad, or talking like this. I felt like I was running away from trouble. I wanted freedom. But when I got out of the house or the council flat, when I got the council flat, I didn't really get freedom. If anything, I trapped myself even more. So in the end, I had to move back in. And I'll be honest with you, the good thing about me, I have white friends, English friends, Asian friends, you name it all. And everyone was talking a different language. When I spoke to my Asian friends, they were like, it's a great idea. When I spoke to my English friends, they were like, hey, it's a great idea. You can also start a business if that doesn't work out. When I spoke to my black friends, they were like, hell no, I don't do it. I'll never do it. And I don't know why, but I do believe that we have that block that stops us from actually achieving what we need to achieve. We've got the resources, we've got the support, and as a family, as a black family, as a black community, we need to work together in order to achieve what we want to achieve. And trust me, working together, we will get there. But if you work alone, let me tell you, it's a struggle when you're alone. I'm telling you now. If you work with someone, and you know what, let me tell you something. Even if, when I started saving up for that house, I'm going to go on and find you can shut me up, please, when you're busy. When I started saving up for the house, I didn't know I was going to get support. I started saving up £20 a week. That wasn't for the deposit, that was just to get into a habit of saving. £20 a week. I don't know if you've ever heard of this partner thing, right? And I was like, when am I going to get my money? It's only £20 a week. And I was always the last one to get the money, right? And I was like, these people are paying me, man. But when I got my 1,200 or 1,000 or something, I was like, I can do that. I can do that. If I can do that, then I can do more. So ideas started coming. But let me tell you, I did not do that partner alone. These women came up to me and said, do you want to enter this partner? I didn't know any of them, really and truly. I didn't. I only knew one. And that's it. But to be honest with you, I know people say it's risky. It is risky. Everything is risky. But I took that chance. But before you know it, I was saving up for a deposit. I had to find ideas. And that idea was, you know what, Sandra? Okay, if you need this amount of money at this point, because at the time I was 37, and now I'm 44. You need that money before you're 40. You need to move back to your mom's house. That's the only calculations I'm making. There's no other way you're going to do this. And I was like, even though my mom says she doesn't, we'll argue all the time. She said yes. I gave her the idea. I told her this is what I'm planning to do, and she said yes. And it's worked out really well for me. I have got a property. I am renting it out. That's why more money comes in. But that's where the books come in. That's where I can afford to do the books. That's where I can afford to do my father's books. When he died, everybody said they didn't want to do the books. They didn't want to touch the books. They didn't have the money. I was like, hold on a minute. There's a heaven up there. There's a reason. So I went to the bank, the same bank I went to borrow money to do my house. I said, I need some money. And you know what? They gave it to me because they can trust me. I was already rolling in. I was already showing them I'm trustworthy. But anyway, I'm going to let you go. I hope I've helped you guys. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you want me off the stage, let me know.
When you're ready, you've got like 10 seconds.
Okay. Any questions, guys?
How long did it take you to save up for your house?
Sorry, how long did
it take you to save up?
So I was 37, 38, 39, 40. I think, I can't remember exactly the day, because I was saving up small. Sometimes I'll save up 500, sometimes I'll save up an amount. So it took a while. I was giving it, I would say about 4 or 5 years. It took about, but it started off, like I said, it started off really small, and then the idea just started building. And when you read the papers and they say to you that you can't afford property, please don't listen. Please don't listen. I'm not saying that you can afford it right now, but if you start planning and you start putting into the plan into what, there's things that went wrong in the way. When I was saving up, things did go wrong. I had a boyfriend, the father of my child. He took money off me, £500 off me. That was in my savings plan. Because I'm that kind of person, I'm generous. He gave me a sad story, and I'm like, okay, I've got the money, let me give it to him. Crap went into, I went through a lot of crap, but I got there. However, that's obviously in my book.
You get your money back.
I didn't get my money back.
Where's his address?
But what I'm trying to say to you is, things, it is hard, it's not easy, but do it. And there's something I wanted to say. When you're doing something, someone else is watching you doing it. And someone else will bless you. And that's what literally happened to me. I was walking like this. First of all, I was called stupid because I'm giving away a council flat. Nobody wants to, because we wait 10 years to get a council flat. Who wants to give that away? And I walked in my stupidness. And I knew that if I just save up £1,000, because differently, living with your mom, you don't have to pay much. Every month, I'm gonna get there. And I used to have a friend of mine who'd be like, "You're already there. Just put the money down, put the deposit down." And I had to go and write